My name is Christina Fox, and I'm the author of God Hears Your Heart. And I'm joined today with the illustrator of the book. Her name is Lisa Flanagan, and she's joining me all the way from Australia. And so we're just going to chat a little bit about the book. I'm going to tell you about it, and then she'll tell us a little bit about how she goes about illustrating books. So God Hears Your Heart is the second book in the series. The first one, you may have read it with your children, is Tell God How You Feel. Both of these books have the same family in them, the same children, Josh and Mia. And when I wrote these books, I wanted to provide a discipleship resource for families, for parents to just come alongside their children and help them learn how to express their emotions and how to talk to God about it, to tell God when they're feeling sad or scared or angry or just any of those hard emotions that we all feel. And the book that really inspired me to do this was my first book, which was called A Heart Set Free. That book is for grown-ups, and it's about the Psalms of Lament, about how the Psalms just kind of teach us how to tell God about our emotions. And so I thought, I think children need to know that too. And how can we help our kids do that? And so that's kind of where that book came from. And so this, second follow-up book includes different emotions that were not in the last book. It has anger, disappointment, failure, feeling guilty, as well as joy. And so I'm really excited that Lisa was able to join me to talk about her part of the book, which is, I think, the funnest part with all the pictures. And so, Lisa, tell me a little bit about, well, tell us where you are right now and what your family has been doing the last year.
Well, right now I'm in my illustrating office, also known as the car, because we're currently traveling around Australia. In fact, we've been doing so for the last 11 months, traveling around Australia with my family of 7 in a caravan, which I believe over there you would call a trailer. Is that right? Yeah.
Or an RV, maybe?
Yes,
RV?
yes, that kind of thing. Yeah, so I'm in Tasmania on a lovely frosty autumn morning. It's just gorgeous. So yeah, really loving it.
That sounds so fun and filled with memories, I'm sure.
Absolutely, yeah. Lots of really special time together.
That's great. Well, what I'd like to know is, you receive from the publisher my manuscript. The stories that I've written about these two children, Josh and Mia, and I just want to know, like, how do you go from taking those words and turning them into the illustrations?
Yes, it's a lot of fun. So I started the process really with Tell God How You Feel, where I got to create the characters in the first place. So I was given complete freedom, not told what they looked like, except that they were part of that family unit. So I got to explore some different ideas, presented some to the publisher and Christina, and then when I got the tick of approval for that, then carried on and built a world around those characters so that it really brings the story to life and makes it really relatable. So during the process, there's some illustrator's notes with the manuscript, so I have some suggestions of the scene that needs to be shown, and often the text also suggests that really well as well. But then I've also got freedom to add in little tidbits and ideas in this world that might not actually have been presented to me. So that's really fun as well. I'm thankful that I get to contribute in that way. It's really great. Yeah. So did you want to know about the process where I start from? I've actually got some things here in my office.
Yeah.
So what I'll often do is I'll read through the manuscript a few times, get a big picture. So this is actually another book series of books I'm working on at the moment. So I'll pop up some thumbnails. So I'll lay out the whole book in like tiny little rectangles and decide what I want to put on all of the pages so I can see the big picture of the story. And really, it's all just a bunch of scribbles that if anyone else looked at, they would have no idea what it means. But for me, it's like my secret code. And then I'll make a big version, which is actually the size of the book. I don't know if you can see there.
Yeah.
So then I'll draw that all up and send that off to the publisher and the authors. Get it checked, make sure it's fitting in with the big vision that you have as well. And then once I've got approval for that, then I will scan that in and finish it on the computer usually, which especially while traveling is super handy. I don't have to carry around a whole bunch of art supplies with me. I've got my computer and then I've got my tablet and I color it all in and fit it in with all the text as well, and then send that off, and then you have a book.
Wow, that's pretty neat. One thing I really appreciated in this particular book, God Hears Your Heart, is you added just some different characters with special needs, maybe a disability or something like that. Do you want to share like how you came up with those, or?
Yes. Oh, well, I'm always trying to help all children feel that they can relate to the story in some way. Sometimes it doesn't mean that they have to be the main character, but that they can see themselves in that main character. But to also see themselves in other little snippets around there is always really helpful as well. And for children who might not be that way as well, that they can see children of all kinds in that story, of all abilities, of all different backgrounds. So yeah, and I want my children to see that too in stories as well. I want to see that. So yeah, I put some suggestions in there as well, but then there's also some from the publisher as well. So I really appreciate the contribution. I think that's really great, and I really love that it's a collaborative effort in that way.
Yeah, I think I advocated for someone with glasses.
Oh, thank you. I love that.
Well, how long have you been illustrating books?
And that's a really good question. Look, I've loved illustrating since I was a kid, and especially childhood and children. I've always been fascinated and quite determined to draw pictures of children and people. And it's taken a long time to get to where I am now, to be able to do that as work. And I'm really thankful for that. In fact, I really started to get into it after having children, my first, who's now 15, and started off with a market stall, doing pictures for nurseries and things like that. I've studied graphic design before then, but was obviously taking a break from that while bringing up the girls. And so it started with that, and then it started to grow and grow. And I saw another friend who'd illustrated for a different publishing company, and I said, well, how did you do that? I'd love to do that. And she was so kind, and she gave me their details, and I got in touch with them. And it's just grown from there. It's been such a blessing. I actually prayed that God would give me the opportunity to illustrate and to do that for him. And he answered with the biggest yes I can ever imagine. And so I've gone from those early beginnings to now illustrating over 20 books at the moment, I think.
Wow.
And most of those are faith-based, so Christian books, which I just love. It's wonderful. Yeah.
That's great. I love to hear that story. I
Yeah,
know people often ask me, when they have seen my book, they're like, well, how did you find your illustrator? How does that work? And so I know people are always curious about how that works. So thank you for sharing that. Well, again, the book is God Hears Your Heart. And I'm Christina Fox, and this is Lisa Flanagan, all the way from Australia. And so thank you for listening.